nobody expected Sporting to be here.
Kan hem meteen doorgeven. Daar is Suarez, 1 op 1 met Gyokeres. Suarez maakt het af. 2-0. Plots heel veel. Kenda kiest positie. Gaat er naartoe. Kenda terugleggen naar een streek. Oh, het is beslist. 3-0. 70ste minuut.
They reached the quarterfinals of the Champions League for the first time since the 1982-1983 season. An incredible achievement given that not long ago, everything pointed to them falling off. They lost one of the best managers in their history in Ruben Amorim, and just when it felt like things couldn't get worse, they also lost Victor Gyokeres, their main goal scorer. For most clubs, that's the end of the story. You lose your best manager and your best player, buddy, it's time to wrap it up. But Sporting bounced back. They are a club that are very smart when it comes to recruitment. They have a great youth academy and have a group of players that fully believe in what they're doing. The biggest question initially was always going to be, what happens after Ruben Amorim? He left in November of 2024 to join Manchester United, the graveyard of careers, and instantly everything felt unstable, both at United and at Sporting. His replacement, João Pereira, couldn't really handle it. The team looked off, the results dropped, and in just 8 games it was clear things were not working. They only won 3 times and were really struggling in the Champions League. Sporting had to act fast. So by Boxing Day, they made the call and brought in Rui Borges. He arrived in Lisbon after a highly successful stint at Vitória de Guimarães, where he had guided them to the knockout stages of the Conference League as one of the few unbeaten teams in the competition. Borges came in with a completely different approach, where Amorim was very strict with his system, always with that 3-4-3. Borges was more flexible, more willing to experiment. One of his first moves was shifting towards a 4-4-2, giving the team more control in midfield and a bit more balance overall. Under Rui Borges, Sporting went on to win the domestic double in May of 2025. Even Amorim never managed to do that. Sporting did not suffer a single defeat in domestic competition, going unbeaten against all their rivals for the first time in 2 decades. That success gave the team real belief. They had proof that they could still win, even without Amorim. Though from what I've seen online, not all the Sporting fans are still happy with him. A lot of people were asking him to be sacked after they lost 3-0 in the first leg to Bodo Glimt in the Champions League. But his team has been cooking. He didn't try and completely erase what Amorim built. It was a balance between the old Sporting and a new version of it. And that balance is exactly what started to show in the Champions League. Replacing Victor Gyokeres was always going to be the hardest part. This was a striker who basically defined an era at Sporting. He scored 97 goals in just over 100 games and carried the attack on his back. Then in the summer of 2025, he left for Arsenal for over 70 million euros. So now the question was simple. How do you replace a player like that? Well, it's easy. You just look for a different profile. Sporting knew they couldn't go out and find another player exactly like Gyokeres. He was a physical monster, the kind of striker who could bully defenders, run in behind, and create chaos on his own. Instead, like I said earlier, they changed the profile of their number 9. Rather than spending their entire money on a mid player, like Chelsea would, the club targeted Luis Suarez for 25 million euros and reinvested the remainder in promising talents like Conrad Harder. By the way, this was Luis Suarez from Almeria, not fat Luis Suarez. At the time, a lot of people saw it as a risk. I mean, this guy was coming from the 2nd division of Spanish football and he had massive shoes to fill given what Gyokeres had achieved at Sporting. Yet Suarez and Sporting are scoring more than ever before. At one point, only Bayern had scored more goals per game. Gyokeres was all about power and directness. Give him a bit of space and he would run through defenders. He could play on his own, isolate the center backs, and just dominate physically. Suarez is different. He's more technical, more involved in the build-up. He likes to drop deeper, combine with his teammates, and he helps create chances rather than just finishing them in the box. That change actually made Sporting better. Their attack became more fluid, less predictable. The ball moved quicker, and the whole team felt more involved going forward. And the numbers, I mean, they speak for themselves. Suarez has been scoring for fun. I guess if you ever find someone with the name Suarez and he plays up front, you can make a bet that he's gonna naturally be an amazing striker. People always try and downplay strikers doing well in the Portuguese league, but he stepped up in big moments. He scored the winner against PSG. He also stepped up and scored a huge penalty against Bodo Glimt to keep Sporting alive. I think at this point, people have stopped doubting him, and instead of being the guy replacing Gyokeres, he's now the next main man at Sporting. One of the biggest changes with the Sporting team is how the goals are spread out. Before, everything went through one guy. Now it feels like anybody can step up. Now naturally, Luis Suarez is still leading the line. He's got by far and away the most goals overall this season. But the difference is that he's not alone. Francisco Trincao has been huge too. He got 2 goals and 4 assists in the Champions League, and his dribbling makes him a constant threat. You know that comeback against Bodo Glimt? He had 2 assists in that game. Pedro Gonçalves is another great player. Nicknamed Poch, he's been a beast. He missed a bunch of games in the Champions League due to injury, but this dude has been killing it in the Portuguese league. He is second in goals and assists for Sporting. Even Morten Hjulmand, who isn't there to score, has contributed in his own way. So you got Suarez, who scored over 30 goals, Pedro Gonçalves, who has chipped in with some, Trincao, who had 8, and that's what makes this team so dangerous. You can't just focus on stopping one player anymore, because if you do that, other players will step up. In the past, people always questioned the consistency of a guy like Trincao, but now he looks like the creative engine of this team. The guy making things happen, taking players on, setting his teammates up. The Sporting attack, it's built as a group, not just around one star. Another big reason why Sporting have been so good this season is because of their captain, Morten Hjulmand. He's basically the leader of everything they do on the pitch. He's always talking, always organizing the team, getting stuck in with tackles and winning duels. He does the dirty work that allows everyone else to shine. In the Champions League, I mean, this guy has been everywhere. Winning the ball back, breaking up attacks, covering huge areas of the pitch. You need someone like Hjulmand to protect the defense, and he does it perfectly. He's one of the biggest reasons why Sporting don't get caught out as much on counterattacks, even when they're pushing forward. Because of that, their defensive record has been really strong. In the league, at one point, they were only conceding about half a goal per game, which is one of the best records in Europe. But it's not Hjulmand just doing it all by himself. Behind him, there's a really strong partnership from between Gonçalo Inácio and Ousmane Diomande. Inácio especially has taken another leap this season. He's not just defending well, he's also been great on the ball, starting attacks from deep. He's so calm playing out from the back, always looking to pass forward, and he gives Sporting another way to build up their attack when their midfield is under pressure. A perfect example was the second leg against Bodo Glimt. He scored, completed over 100 passes, and didn't put a foot wrong defensively. It was one of those performances where you realize he's just becoming a phenomenal defender. And when you combine that backline with Hjulmand protecting them in midfield, you start to see why Sporting are so hard to break down. Another player who had been a beast for Sporting this season before he got injured was Giovanni Kenda. He came up through Sporting's academy, and at the start he was just seen as another talented youngster. But this season he became a key player for the first team, someone that they actually rely on. He just looks so mature on the pitch, and I guess we should have all known that he was going to be good after Chelsea spent a ton of money on him in March of 2025 to sign him early so that he could join the club in the summer of 2026. Then there's Rui Silva, the veteran goalkeeper. He's been a massive upgrade, securing 12 clean sheets in the league with a save percentage near 80%. And then you have Maximiliano Araujo, who's been so productive from the wing-back/left back position, providing a constant threat on that side. Now, Sporting's Champions League run, it's had a bit of everything. They started off well, a solid win against Gyokeres, then they lost to Napoli, but beat Marseille, which kind of made people take them a bit more seriously. Then they drew Juventus, beat Club Brugge, then naturally got spanked by Bayern. I don't think there's any shame in losing to that Bayern side, to be honest. But the moment things really changed was when Sporting played against the croissant lovers PSG. That was the game where everybody went like, okay, these guys are serious. They're not just Portuguese farmers. Beating the Champions League holders with all of those stars, all that money, and doing it in their way by sitting in, hitting on the counter, and having Suarez scoring late to win it, it gave them real belief. Their wins and success didn't feel like a fluke anymore. They carried that momentum into the rest of the group as they defeated Athletic Club, got the job done, and suddenly they were in the knockouts. Then came Bodo Glimt. The first leg, it was just a nightmare. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. They go up to Norway, cold conditions, a team in form, they probably underestimated them, and they go down 3-0. They went down faster than your local hooker, and it felt like their run was over right there. Bodo were in incredible form after having beaten Manchester City, Atletico, and Inter, and now Sporting had to get past a 3-goal deficit against arguably the most informed team in Europe at the time. Most teams don't come back from that. I mean, if it was Manchester United, they would have lost 6-0 on aggregate. But in that second leg, you could tell that the atmosphere was different. From the start, they were just all over them. Shot after shot, attack after attack. It felt like only a matter of time. Then Inacio scored from the corner. 1-0. The crowd gets louder. You can feel the belief growing. Then second half, Gonçalves makes it 2-0. Now you start thinking, wait, this might actually happen. Then the penalty. Suarez steps up, makes it 3-0. At that point, everybody in the stadium knew it. Sporting were not gonna go out. Extra time starts, and almost immediately Araujo scores at the back post. And then right at the end of it, the 5th goal just to finish it off. 5-0 on the night, from down 3-0 to winning 5-3. One of the most impressive comebacks we have seen in the Champions League. This team didn't panic, they didn't fold, they just kept going. And now they're not just a team that's happy to be there. They're one of the sides you don't want to play.